And with that being said, I just want to, introduce, ask a question to our other panelist, Dr. Vachon. In your experience advising companies at the intersection between medical imaging and AI, what are some of the common issues you encounter with applying AI to clinical problems? You have a very unique perspective as a clinician and, working with technology and companies. I'm really interested to hear your perspective on this as well.
Great, thank you. And thank you for that nice setup, Humayun. So one of the things that I find most frequently is tech companies don't know what a radiologist does. And I'm happy to see that Humayun does know what I do, because he went down the path very nicely, particularly talking about the subjectivity of radiology interpretation. So what I wanted to do is kind of piggyback a little bit of what Dr. Rutledge said and explain what a radiologist does, because not just tech people don't know what I do, many people don't know what I do. So let me just take a second to explain the workflow, and then I can explain how people can help in that workflow. So if all of us on this panel had different exams, an X-ray or a CAT scan or an MRI, all those exams would be beamed to my computer, and it would look like an email list. And I would see an email list of this CAT scan or this MRI, and I would open it and I would look at all the pictures. It could be as few as one picture or as many as several thousand. And what I do is I make my process in 2 stages. I have my findings and my impression. So similar to what Humayun said, I'm going to go through and I'm going to find all the things in the liver and the kidney and the lung and in the adrenal gland. I'm going to find all the things first. And then I need to process all of that and decide what's on the normal side, what's possibly abnormal, what's definitely abnormal. And I need to figure out a way to give this information to the ordering doctor in a usable fashion. And so having said that, so we have the findings, I find the things on the CT scan. Then I have the impression, I try and have a useful output. Many times the tech people I talk to are good at finding the things. And they see Facebook, they see that you find your face in Facebook, like, oh, I can do that. I can find something in the liver. What do we do with that? And that is where, the years and years of training that goes into radiologists is helpful. So there are 67 FDA approved algorithms for medical imaging as of today, 67. And presumably some of the many people watching this want to make the 68th and the 69th and the 70th. My recommendation is to get someone like me early, get someone like Dr. Rutledge early, get someone like Dr. Clayton early, so you can have these other things in mind instead of just the little computer problem that you're trying to solve. It's so much easier to have this at the beginning when you're collecting the data, when you're labeling the data, instead of at the end when you forgot a whole part that you have to add in. And then I do want to add one more thing that Dr. Rutledge said is, my job is to help the ordering doctor. So if some computer program can just find something nifty, how does that help the ordering doctor? Like, we need to make sure that we have usable information. And then one other place that I see a huge disservice is failure to integrate with the EHR. And I know it's hard. I mean, it's not easy to integrate with the EHR. But whenever I bring it up with new companies, they just say it's not worth it. And that just makes me sad, because that's our job. Our job as radiologists to take all the information, imaging included, and give insightful, helpful information to the ordering doctor. And the only way we can do that is by collecting data from the EHR.
Yeah, no, this is great. This is really awesome to hear your perspective. And, I really hope someone can make those 68th and plus algorithms that are approved. And that's a really interesting data point. Thank you so much for your perspective. So kind of want to just open this up for some broader questions. And but before we jump into that, did anyone have anything they want to comment on any of the previous questions or add? No?
Yeah, I'd like to underscore what Dr. Vachon's just said about this notion of the value of the automation of the classification or diagnostic processes that are possible to do electronically. As Dr. Vachon said, the algorithms may be actually very effective and very efficient at identifying particularly features, and they can also sort of look at patterns of combined features to suggest possible explanations. But in the end, it's very useful for someone with the skills and experience that a doctor like Dr. Vachon has in looking at the totality of the case in terms of the other features that are relevant when you look at the full medical record, for example, it often has a very strong interpretation or effect on how you interpret the combination of features, which is why, of course, radiologists' expertise is so valuable.